Mother, you know best.
See, Mother?
Say Mama's quite Mother.
If you've watched Sex and the City, you've probably noticed that Trey says one word more than almost anything else: mother. And I think that was the real problem in his marriage to Charlotte. Charlotte York and Trey MacDougal are often remembered as one of the bigger relationship disappointments in Sex and the City. On paper, they seemed perfect for each other. Charlotte wanted the fairy tale marriage, and Trey appeared to be the fairy tale husband. He was handsome, successful, charming, came from a wealthy family, and seemed ready for marriage. He genuinely seemed to love Charlotte. But the more I look at their relationship, the more I think their marriage didn't fail because they didn't love each other. I think it failed because Trey never fully separated himself from his mother, Bunny MacDougal.
A woman named Bunny? Honey, you could take her.
And that's what I want to talk about today: family influence, enmeshment, and what happens when someone values a family member's opinion more than the health of their romantic relationship. One thing I find fascinating about Trey is that he's not presented as a bad guy. Sex and the City gives us plenty of terrible men, but Trey isn't really one of them. He's polite. He's kind. He genuinely seems to care about Charlotte. That's actually what makes the situation more interesting. If Trey were openly controlling or cruel, the relationship would be much easier to understand. Instead, he's a man who appears loving but consistently struggles to prioritize his marriage when it conflicts with his family system. From the beginning, Bunny's presence is impossible to ignore. I mean, how could you not notice her? Some of the scenes between them are just bizarre. The one that always gets me is when Bunny is sitting there chatting away while Trey is in the bath.
Ew!
Every single time I watch that scene, I have the exact same reaction. What am I watching? Seriously, Charlotte thinks she's marrying this handsome, successful doctor, and then suddenly she's standing there watching her mother-in-law casually have a conversation with her husband while he's taking a bath. And Charlotte looks just as confused as the rest of us. You can see it on her face. She's basically standing there thinking, what is happening right now? And honestly, so am I. Because that moment tells you so much about their relationship.
Well, I don't know how you were brought up, but that is not acceptable parent-child bath time behavior past the age of 5, even 4 in some cases. And if you think that I'm bringing a child into that I will be that kind of mother, then you better think again.
For Bunny and Trey, this seems completely normal. For Charlotte, it's clearly not. It wasn't just the bathtub scene. There are so many little moments throughout their marriage that make me stop and think, why is Bunny involved in this?
Bunny!
Take the bedroom furniture situation. Charlotte wants to buy a new bed for her and Trey, which seems like a pretty normal thing for a married couple to do. But somehow, Bunny ends up involved in that too. And I'm sorry, but if I'm buying a bed with my husband, I don't really need my mother-in-law helping us pick it out. Maybe that's just me. But at a certain point, you have to ask yourself why Bunny has a say in things that should really be between Charlotte and Trey. Then, there's the apartment redecoration. To be fair, Trey's argument there is that Bunny had already spent a lot of money decorating it and wanted things kept the way they were. But even then, what stands out to me is how quickly Trey defaults to Bunny's opinion because she supposedly knows best. Charlotte is his wife. She is the one living there with him. Of course, she should have a say in what her own home looks like. The more examples you look at, the harder it becomes to ignore. At some point, it stops being a close mother-son relationship and starts feeling like a marriage that never developed healthy boundaries. And if this isn't enmeshment, I honestly don't know what is. Bunny isn't simply a mother who loves her son. She is deeply involved in his life, his decisions, and even the most intimate aspects of his marriage. There are very few boundaries between Bunny and Trey, and Charlotte quickly discovers that she's not entering a marriage with one person. She's entering an established family dynamic. The problem isn't that Bunny has opinions every parent has. The problem is the amount of influence those opinions have. A healthy adult relationship requires a shift in priorities. It doesn't mean abandoning your family. It means recognizing that your spouse becomes your primary partner. Your parents can advise you, but they shouldn't be directing your marriage. Trey never seems fully capable of making that shift. Again and again, Bunny's perspective carries enormous weight. And honestly, if I had to point to one issue that really shows why Charlotte and Trey were never going to work, It's the adoption storyline. Charlotte wanted a family more than anything. That wasn't some small detail about her character. It was one of the most important things in her life. After everything they went through, adoption became a real possibility for her. But Bunny didn't approve, and once again, Bunny's opinion was right there in the middle of a decision that should have belonged to Charlotte and Trey.
I don't enjoy Mandarin food, and I don't enjoy a Mandarin child.
I don't think that's any of your business.
Oh, but it is my business. The MacDougal name will be carried on by sons of your own, not daughters of the South Pacific.
Imagine being Charlotte. You've gone through fertility struggles, you've gone through disappointment after disappointment, and now you're trying to find another path toward becoming a mother. And instead of feeling like your husband is completely in your corner, it feels like his mother's opinion still matters more than you. Honestly, I think this is one of the biggest reasons the marriage ended. Because if Trey had truly been on the same page as Charlotte about building a family, I think she would have fought for that marriage a lot longer. Charlotte was willing to work through a lot. What she couldn't work through was constantly feeling like she wasn't her husband's first priority. She frequently finds herself competing for emotional space in her own marriage. Instead of feeling like Trey and Charlotte are a team, it often feels like Trey is caught between his wife and his mother. And when conflict arises, Trey rarely handles it directly. That's another important aspect of his character. Trey avoids discomfort. Whether it's discussing intimacy issues, fertility struggles, or conflicts with Bunny, his instinct is often to withdraw rather than confront the problem. He seems uncomfortable with emotional tension and eager to keep the peace. The issue is that keeping the peace often means avoiding necessary conversations. And unfortunately, Charlotte ends up carrying the emotional burden. But don't get me wrong, Charlotte isn't perfect in this situation either. She initially falls in love with the idea of Trey. He checks every box on her list. He's the perfect husband on paper. And because Charlotte is so invested in achieving her dream marriage, she overlooks warning signs that might have caused her to slow down. She sees the fantasy before she sees the reality. The reality is that marriage isn't just about finding someone who looks right on paper. It's about compatibility, communication, boundaries, and emotional maturity. As their relationship progresses, Charlotte realizes that those qualities matter much more than appearances. In many ways, the failure of her marriage to Trey becomes one of the most important growth experiences she has in the entire series.
Trey and I...
Splitting up. I knew it.
Well, anyway, I don't think he's gonna be in the picture, so should we just cancel?
Cancel? Hello, H&G, House and Garden. Do it without him.
Won't that look bad? Just me?
It'll look beautiful. He may be the heart surgeon, but honey, you're the heart of this whole operation. Honestly, you're the best catch ever. Look what you did to this place. You could take any guy off the street, fix him up, and make him into something wonderful. Not for nothing, but you deserve more than that stick-up-his-ass preppy, that's all I'm saying.
It forces her to question what she actually needs in a partner, and this is where I think another storyline from Sex and the City offers an interesting comparison. Samantha's relationship with Siobhan Williams faces a very different obstacle, but the underlying issue is surprisingly similar. Samantha and Siobhan seem happy together. They enjoy each other's company, they have chemistry, and their relationship appears to be working. The problem comes from Siobhan's sister, Adina, who strongly disapproves of the relationship because Samantha is not black. She wants her brother to date a black woman and makes her feelings very clear. Eventually, Siobhan chooses to end the relationship. Now, obviously, the circumstances are different from Charlotte and Trey. Bunny and Adina are different people with different motivations. But what interests me is the pattern. In both situations, a family member's opinion becomes more powerful than the romantic relationship itself. In both situations, the man is unable or unwilling to establish a boundary. And in both situations, the woman is left dealing with the consequences. This raises an uncomfortable question. When someone consistently prioritizes a parent, sibling, or family member over their partner, are they really ready for a serious relationship? Because healthy relationships require boundaries. You can love your mother. You can love your sister. You can value their advice. But at some point, you have to make your own decisions. You have to be willing to disappoint family members when necessary. And that's where I think Trey struggles the most. I don't believe Trey consciously chooses Bunny over Charlotte. I don't think he wakes up and decides that his mother's happiness is more important than his wife's. Instead, I think he has spent his entire life accommodating Bunny's expectations. The pattern is so deeply ingrained that he doesn't even fully recognize it. That's what makes the situation feel less like manipulation and more like enmeshment. An enmeshed relationship is one where boundaries become blurred and independence becomes difficult. The child grows into an adult, but emotionally, they never fully separate. And when they enter a romantic relationship, their partner ends up competing with a family bond that was never properly redefined. Looking at Charlotte and Trey through that lens changes the story. Instead of asking why Charlotte wasn't enough, we can ask whether Trey was ever truly prepared to be a husband. Because being a husband requires more than love. It requires boundaries, and it requires the ability to build a partnership that can stand on its own. Ultimately, I think Charlotte and Trey are one of the most realistic failed relationships in Sex and the City because neither person is a villain. Charlotte wants a fairy tale. Trey wants everyone to be happy. But good intentions aren't always enough. Sometimes relationships fail because two people have fundamentally different ideas about what marriage should look like. And in Trey's case, his inability to separate himself from Bunny may have made a successful marriage impossible from the start. What do you think? Was Trey simply a devoted son? Was he a classic mama's boy? Was he stuck in an unhealthy family dynamic that prevented him from fully committing to his marriage with Charlotte? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps support the channel and lets me know you're enjoying these kinds of discussions. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.